Alrighty, in this lesson we'll explore spline modeling. A spline is simply a mathematical term for a curve which can be either curved or straight. It's basically a line defined by math, and in 3ds Max these are also referred to as shapes. Any object built from curves, even if its edges are made entirely of straight segments, is still considered a spline, and therefore. Now, there are 4 main types of shapes in 3ds Max. First, shape primitives, which are very similar to 3D primitives. Second are editable splines, often called lines, which you can modify directly. Third, freehand splines, which let you sketch freely right inside the viewport for more intuitive drawings. And finally, NURBS, short for non-uniform rational B-splines, a somewhat older technique that still exists. Amazing! Now that we actually understand this, let's take a look specifically at each one. To do this, let's go to the creation panel, then choose shapes as your object type. From the drop-down list, labeled splines, you'll see a collection of shape primitives, like a circle. Right there. Click circle and you can start drawing one in front of your view. Just click and drag to define the size. It's much like creating a sphere, except in 2D. Release the mouse to set the position and radius. Awesome, now that we've drawn those into the scene, you can also switch to another view, say the top view, and draw another circle. You will notice that each new shape aligns to the viewport it's created in. If I zoom out, using Ctrl, Alt, middle mouse, and orbit around, Alt, middle mouse, you'll see that each circle's orientation depends on the viewport where it was made. A shape drawn in the left view aligns to that plane, while one drawn in the perspective, right over here, sits on the XY plane, as you can see. Right-click when you want to exit the tool and deselect everything. You'll see that each new object has been given a random color. That's the default behavior in 3ds Max for all primitives. Now let's select them all and press delete. Awesome. Now there are other primitives available to us, all listed here. For example, a rectangle. Click and drag in the front view to create one. Release the mouse, then right-click to finish. With the rectangle selected, open the Modify panel. That can be found right over here at the top of the screen. Amazing. Here you'll find the length and width parameters, displayed in meters based on your unit settings. Primitives also include some handy options. For instance, the rectangle primitive has a corner radius parameter. Drag its spinner upward and you'll see the corners round off smoothly. You can tweak these parameters as much as you like. The corner radius remains consistent. Pretty neat. Now let's delete that and move on to the next part of the video. Now let's create a basic editable spline or line. Back in the creation panel, to the right, let's click line. Right here. Awesome. In 3ds Max, line and editable spline mean the same thing. They're just splines whose points and curves you can edit directly. The particular type is a Bezier spline, similar to what you might have used in Photoshop. Great, now that we understand that with that line selected, which will be highlighted like that, in the current method rollout down below, you'll see 2 settings, initial type and drag type. These determine what kind of vertex you create when you click and drag. It's best to leave these as their defaults. A simple click makes a corner point. A click and drag creates a Bezier point for a smooth curve. Great, now that we understand that, let's try it out. Click once, and that's a corner point. You can click multiple times to create multiple corner points. Awesome. Let's delete this one now so we can try out a Bezier point. With that selected, delete. And so let's click and drag this time. That's a Bezier point. You can adjust to bend the curve. You can really play around with this to create different type of curvatures. Release the mouse to make another point. Click and hold and drag again to shape it. Awesome. Just like that, and you can still add in corner points by just a click. When you're done adjusting points, you can create quite interesting shapes. When you're happy with what you've created, right click to finish the shape. Awesome. So with that, you can create different shapes with different curves and different corner points, depending on a click or a drag. Let's delete that. Now, we can also draw splines freely by hand. Click the freehand button, then click and drag in any viewport to sketch your own curve, just like this. Make sure you're dragging. Awesome. Great. Now when you're done with that, you can end it by right-clicking to complete it. That's your freehand spline. Alright, so finally, 3ds Max also supports NURBS curves, short for Non-Uniform Rational B-Splines. You'll find them under the Shapes dropdown by selecting NURBS curves. These are mostly used in engineering or CAD workflows, not so much in the entertainment design, since Max isn't built for the same kind of precision. But they're still available if you ever need them. So, click Point Curve to create one. That can be located right here. And start clicking to add NURBS control points. As you move your mouse, notice how the curve shapes change several vertices away? Well, that's how NURBS behave, affecting larger portions of the curve at once. See, this can make them harder to control in media work especially, which is why Bezier splines are usually preferred for local precision. You can see, even as I start moving, it affects that entire spline. Awesome. So let's click to add one last point. Then right click to exit creation mode. We're just going to delete this one as well. Alright everyone, and that's covers the 4 main spline types in 3ds Max: shape primitives, editable Bezier splines, freehand splines, and this one right here, which is a NURBS curves. Thank you so much for watching today's video.